Hey everybody, welcome back to A Matter of Life and Maiden, the podcast of the Beast. I am Joe Labriola, and this is episode 47 of the podcast. It's been a while. The last episode I recorded was back in October of 2025 last year. It's now March. It's March 18th of 2026. Just a lot of changes. New relationship, some changes at work, dabbling in some other ventures and things that I'm interested in. Been getting back into playing acoustic guitar a lot lately. Getting back in the video games. I just got a PlayStation 5. I know they came out in 2020, but I literally just bought one like a month ago, and I'm digging it. So getting back into gaming a little bit. Going back and listening to some old music. Obviously, Maiden's always on the mind and on the brain. I check for updates with those guys, constantly. It's like pretty much once a week, maybe once every other week, just to see what's going on, because there's a lot of new news coming down the pipeline with them, and that's kind of the reason I'm jumping on today, just because of some of the new news that's coming up. Back in October, the end of October of last year, those guys released the tour schedule for the Run for Your Lives tour for this year, 2026, and I was hoping that I would be able to see them, and I'm kind of sad because, unfortunately, I hate to announce this and say this, but this is going to be the first time since I became an Iron Maiden fan, and that Iron Maiden became my favorite band and like one of my favorite things in life, that I'm actually going to miss a tour. I'm not going to be able to see this Run for Your Lives tour in 2026. I have seen every single tour that they've performed since Somewhere Back in Time in 2008, and this is going to be the first one that I'm going to miss. So, from 2008 to the present, 18 years, ever since they've come around locally within driving distance, I've been able to go see them, and this is going to be the first time, and it's sad, but this is a statement that I posted on Facebook and my personal Instagram a while ago, and I'm just going to read it verbatim here. So it's man, I would have loved to have seen Eddie and the boys in Bristow, Virginia, and Hershey, PA, on this tour next year. However, I'll be on a cruise and visiting Italy, Greece, Croatia, and Montenegro between September 7th, 2026, and September 17th, 2026. I've seen every U.S. Maiden tour from 2008 to 2024. So this will be the first time I've ever missed seeing a Maiden tour. Sad face. In a way, it's surreal that my first show was Somewhere Back in Time in March 2008, and the most recent show I was at was the Future Past tour in November 2024. Two shows based on my two favorite 80s Maiden records, Power Slave and Somewhere in Time. It's also surreal that I got to see Nico live one last time in 2024, performing some of my favorite Maiden tunes of all time. Still, I'm going to miss seeing Rhyme, Seventh Son, Phantom, and all the Killers album stuff from this one that I never got a chance to see. Hopefully the tours in 2028 and 2030 will have some stuff from the reunion to the present records. There's a ton of stuff from Brave New World, Dance of Death, A Matter of Life and Death, and The Final Frontier I haven't heard in over 15 years, or have ever heard at all. So while I'm bummed I'll miss this one, I will be in a European/Mediterranean paradise, so I guess it's a fair trade-off. And that's true. So about a year and a half ago, my family and I, made plans to go to Italy and Greece and on this cruise, because I'm Italian. Obviously, my last name's Labriola, and if you guys have been listening to the podcast, you know that I love antiquity and I love ancient Rome and ancient Greece. And to finally get a chance to go see that, I mean, it's kind of like a once in a lifetime opportunity, especially to do with my mom and dad, because they're getting up there in age. My brother and my sister-in-law. So it's going to be really, really awesome to actually go experience that. So I'm very, very excited for that. And we're going to be doing a ton of stuff. We're going to see Rome. We'll probably hit up the Colosseum. Maybe go check out the Vatican, the Trevi Fountain, the Pantheon, some of the other stuff there. And we go to Greece. We're going to the temple where, off in the distance in the ocean, there's like a bunch of rocks that were said to be the ship that Odysseus ship sunk right in front of the rocks, and it's like the Odyssey is like one of my favorite literary works of all time. So Greek myth and mythology, to be able to see that palace and that's going to be very, very cool. And then when we go to Croatia, we're actually stopping at the place where they filmed portions of Game of Thrones, which is like one of my favorite TV series and book series of all time because I'm a huge fantasy nerd. So yeah, like I said, we're going to be standing where they film parts of Game of Thrones and the King's Landing scenes in that TV series. So it's going to be super surreal. And then we're going to climb to the top of Mount Vesuvius and tour Pompeii as well, the ruins of Pompeii. So, I mean, it's going to be amazing. And in a way, it's almost like, man, I wish I would have got to see Maiden beforehand. And even though the trip itself doesn't start till the 7th, we're leaving the weekend prior to get everything in order. So I think there was a show on like 9/3 or something, or 9/4, that was like right outside of New York. And I was like, man, if it would have been just like a day or two earlier, I could have hit the show up and then got everything ready. But unfortunately, I'm gonna miss this tour, and it's sad. It's sad, but in a way, it kind of feels justified, so to speak. Kind of like what I talked about, where I got to see the six-piece band from the reunion 1999 to the present, and I saw those guys every time I went and saw Maiden for the last 18 years. So I got to see the consistent six-piece band with Steve, Bruce, Nico, Davey, Adrian, and Yannick, and that was the band when I became a fan, and they were the same band consistently until Nico retired at the end of 2024. So, and then Simon looks awesome. Watching the videos, I did some episodes talking about the Run for Your Lives tour, the first impressions when I watched some of the stuff on YouTube and some of the videos people were posting, and some of my fellow Maiden fans on like Instagram and stuff that I've had correspondence with and talked to. Looks super awesome and really great, but in a way, it's almost surreal that like the last show that I've seen so far was with the six-piece band reunion to the present. Like probably outside of the 80s lineup, and the reality is it's probably the most well-known lineup now because they've been that lineup for almost 30 years until Nico retired. So, I mean, you figure that's a 25-year lineup, pretty consistent lineup. So, yeah, that's awesome. And before that, it was pretty much the same minus Nico in the 80s. So from like really 81, 82, and then obviously Blaze in the 90s, some changes, but Nico was with the band for 40-some years. So, give or take like 30 or so years, give or take, with that same lineup, at Janik. But yeah. Anyway, I just wanted to jump on here and kind of give that statement, and I'm getting a little emotional about it, to be honest with you, because, man, these guys mean so much to me. It's hard for me to encapsulate that, and if you listen to the episode I did prior back in early October when I was talking about like September album anniversaries for Iron Maiden, like, man, you know how special this band is to me and what they mean. And if you've been listening to the podcast since the inception, when Matt and I started this back in like 2018, like the summer of 2018, I mean, this thing is 8 years old. It's crazy to think that, but it's going on 8 years old here, so it's nuts. But another reason I'm jumping on here is because the Infinite Dreams book came out, and it is absolutely awesome. I mean, if you haven't picked a copy of that up yet, I suggest you do. It's phenomenal. It's an amazing, just kind of like compendium of history. And as a historian, and as somebody who loves Maiden, and to quote Matt again, he said this many times before, like, I'm very passionate about history, but outside of that, one of the things that I'm super passionate about, if not more so than history itself, is the history of Iron Maiden and who Iron Maiden is. And Matt and I are both very, very in that kind of mindset, in that kind of philosophy of how we feel about this band. Because they're more than the band to us, they're a way of life, hence the name of this podcast. Remember, Maiden is life, the rest is history. And I wanted to jump on here too and talk about the new documentary coming out, the Burning Ambition documentary. It's named after the B-side on the original Running Free EP release, or single release, that they came out with in 1980. And it looks like it's going to be really, really cool. They just released a trailer today, March 18th, 2026. And I think it's hitting cinemas for like a limited theatrical run on May 7th, 2026. Hopefully they play it around here. I'm definitely going to go see it if it's available here locally in my area. If not, I'll wait for the full release to come out, and I'll probably buy the Blu-ray and a digital version if I can. Super stoked for that. I know I said this in a podcast episode before. I think the prior one, I hope it's like at least 2.5 hours long. Something that's dedicated, that really shows the 50 years from the inception to like the present and the current state. And watching some of the stuff in the clips, they have fans on there giving speeches and kind of like giving their opinions about Maiden and what they bring to the table and how they changed their life, the whole life aspect. There's like celebrities on there. I think there's Tom Morello. There's a scene with Tom Morello where he's talking about Maiden. Lars Ulrich from Metallica is on there. Javier Bardem, the actor's on there talking about Maiden, and how he talks about how much he loves them and what they mean to him. He's like wearing a Maiden shirt. So stuff like that is awesome, and I can't wait to see what they do. If it's, and I'm not trying to compare artists or anything here, but Dreamers Never Die, the Dio documentary that came out a couple years ago, like that thing was so absolutely touching and mind blowing. If it's anything like that, similar to that, or even if it's different, but just like encapsulates everything about Maiden over 50 years, I mean, it's going to be damn good. I just hope the runtime, like I said, is fair. I hope it's at least like 2.5 hours. We need something dedicated that's like at least a 2.5 hour documentary to the greatest band in the world, as far as I'm concerned. One of the greatest things in the world. So I'm really, really looking forward to that. So head over to the Iron Maiden website, and you can watch the trailer there. It's on YouTube. Just type in Iron Maiden Burning Ambition in Google or whatever search engine you're using for the internet. You'll be able to pull up the trailer and watch it. I'm getting goosebumps just talking about it because I can't wait. We haven't had like a true Maiden video release since, man, I mean, going back to like En Vivo. En Vivo, I think, was like the last Maiden video release that they actually released on video. Or no, excuse me, it wasn't En Vivo. It was the Maiden 1988. I think they did a remaster of that and released that in like 2012 or something. But I'm trying to think of what came out after the fact. I know that Book of Souls Live chapter came out, but that was like on streaming. They didn't really do a dedicated DVD or Blu-ray of that. So yeah, it's been a damn long time. I mean, you think about that. It's like 14 years ago. 13, 14 years ago, a dedicated like video release has come out. So it's about damn time, boys. I'm just joking. I mean, they're celebrating 50 years. I mean, they're giving us everything they got. They held off for a decade plus to give us something damn good. And I know they wouldn't release it if it wasn't absolute gold. So I have faith it's gonna be absolutely mind blowing. But super excited about that. Also, with this kind of episode, I wanted to jump on and just talk about like some of the stuff I fear too. I had all these really high hopes and everything for the band on the last episode I did like 5 months ago, when I was talking about, oh yeah, the show's going to be great. They're still going to tour. They're doing this. They're doing that. And they very well may. I mean, I don't think they're going to let me down. But then, Steve just came up on March 12th, like less than a week ago. He just came up on his 70th birthday. And this dude is like not even the oldest member in the band. And I know Nick's not touring anymore with them. Nick is going to be 74 years old this year. Steve just turned 70. Nick's going to be 74 this year. Bruce is the youngest member in the band, and he's going to be 68 years old this year. I mean, they are not youngins anymore. As far as like a new album goes, that's kind of where the fear is coming in. I'm like, I don't know if that's really in the cards anymore. And the more and more I think about it, it's like, well, maybe it isn't. Maybe it isn't. I had super high hopes and everything for like an announcement in 2025 last year. I still kind of have a little bit of hope, and I'm holding out hope that there's going to be an announcement for a new record in 2026. That would be awesome. And like I said in the last episode, hopefully maybe like a release in 2027. But the more and more I sit here and I just think about time, and I think about how things have just flown for me personally, and I don't imagine how it's flown for these guys. The last 20 years to me, I mean, I was just talking to my girlfriend. We were walking around back at Penn State Altoona, my alma mater, like the campus that I love and I grew up in, where I experienced a lot of Maiden. Like I was coming into Maiden and listening to Maiden and sharing my love for Maiden with my fellow students and my classmates and getting people into metal. And when I was back at school there, I have a lot of love when I go back there. We were walking around there the other day and we're just sitting there talking about like, man, where did 20 years go? And I think I mentioned this in the podcast before, just like the finality almost of like life and time and how it's coming to a place for me too where I'm like, man, I'm getting old. I'm gonna be 40 this year. So it's like, man, I'm 40. Like I still feel like I'm a giddy 18-year-old boy when I put a Maiden record in and listen to them because that's how they make me feel. There's like this there's just youthfulness to their music even now, even when they're performing and you're watching like this stuff from the Run for Your Lives tour. Like they're still absolutely on point. They are a band that like never quits. I can't think of any other band, and I've seen a ton of bands live, ton of bands that I love too and I admire very very much. But no one has ever came close to the love, joy, admiration, and just this feeling of transcendence and absolute bliss and euphoria and truly like a paradise, almost like an Eden, almost an Elysium, an Olympus, a Nirvana. When you see these guys play live, it's a spiritual experience. It's a transcendent experience. Matt and I have said this multiple times on the podcast. No other band has done that for me, and no other band will. I mean, these guys are the greatest band in the world. They're one of my greatest things, and like I said this before, it's very very sad to see that, or to think at least that maybe there won't be another album. Senjutsu's it, and they're gonna finish up with this tour and see where it goes. And I hope they're not gonna hang it up. I really do. I hope there's at least one more record and hopefully one more tour, even if it's just a 2-year tour for farewell. Give us an album, add like 2 or 3 songs from it to a farewell tour, and just play reunion stuff, reunion to the present stuff, and just be like, okay, we're done now, peace out, and that'd be awesome. And I hope they give that to us. But the more and more I think about it, like I think about some of my greats and a lot of loss that we've had in like 2025 and 2026 from a lot of like actors and celebrities and musicians and stuff who are pretty young. I mean, they were in their like 70s, and I know the Maiden guys are like super fit and super healthy and everything, but mortality, man, mortality, time, and age, it catches everybody. So I just I don't want it to end. Like I'm not ready to be like Maiden's over yet. I can't do it. Like I don't even want to think about it. But I have to brace for it, brace for the impact, so to speak. And there's rumors going around that Dave's like ready to hang it up. He's done, and he's had enough. He's ready to retire, and nothing really much from Adrian. But I mean, the reality is, you never know. Like the end of last year, I never knew Nico was going to be like, "Yep, I'm done touring." I mean, I did not expect that. That was completely out of left field. I thought he was like, "Yeah, I had the stroke. I'm recovering. I'm going to be back, and I'm going to be in full swing." And he was. It was amazing. Like he kicked ass, but never thought he'd be like, "I'm done." But that leads me kind of into the next topic too. I want to talk about. I know at the end of I think it was 2024, I did a list of my concert experiences when I went to see Iron Maiden and what my favorites were, and that's kind of altered here a little bit over these last. after digesting it here for like a little over a year now. It's going on a year and a half. And I made this list the end of last year, so it's about a year. About a year of just sitting back and thinking about all the concert experiences and what each individual one meant to me. Some of the places kind of shifted based on what's happened and transpired from the end of 2024 to the end of 2025, and now we're in, March of 2026, so things have shifted a little bit. But I did throw the Run for Your Lives tour on this list, and I put question marks after it because I was like, Run for Your Lives tour 2026, because I didn't know what the dates were going to be. And I was hoping, like I said, it wouldn't cross paths with my trip to Europe. But unfortunately, it's overlapping, and I'm not going to be able to really catch a Maiden show in 2026. So it's unfortunate. It's sad. First world tour, U.S. tour I'm never going to see, and that bums me because these guys are like my life. But as I mentioned earlier in the episode, it's for good reason. Like I'm going to be seeing some pretty amazing stuff, and I'm going to be in parts of the world that I've always dreamed of seeing, and I'm going to get to participate and tour a lot of really cool stuff that is maybe not quite as important to me as Iron Maiden is, but they're some of my favorite things too. So it's a mixed bag, it's a trade off. It's a trade off. So I'm excited. But I'm going to go through these rankings. So I have, and the reason I have this at number 8, and this was at number 8 for a couple different reasons before, but I'll kind of reiterate. So number 8 for me is obviously going to be the Run for Your Lives tour in 2026. I had this envisioning in my head, kind of like predetermining, even if I were to have seen it, based on some of the footage I've seen from people and some of the concert footage I've seen like on YouTube and people filming it and things that I've heard people say about this tour. I think if I would have had the opportunity to go see it, and I'm very thankful that I can actually sit down and watch YouTube and watch an entire concert of it. I mean, that's pretty awesome as a Maiden fan in 2026 to be like, yeah, I can just get on YouTube and watch the show. No, it's not the same as going in person. It's no comparison whatsoever. It's two different worlds. But I think I probably would have, if I would have seen this tour in 2026, I still think for me it would just be at number 8. And the reason for that, and the biggest reason for that, number 1, is Nico's not there anymore. I'm not going to see Nico behind the kid anymore. So for me, I didn't realize how much of a feeling or an emotion that would weigh on me, but that's it. And that's what I hear a lot of people talking about when they did go see this concert. Well, it's not Nico. It's not Nico McBrain. He's with the band since, 83, since Peace of Mind. 40 plus years in the band. It's not the same. And Simon Dawson's amazing. He's great. Like, watching him perform some of these songs is insane. Like, he's a hell of a drummer. He's a fantastic drummer. I mean, kudos to him. Hats off to him. Stepping in to fill, in my opinion, the greatest drummer in rock music history's shoes. It's pretty damn awesome for him, but at the same time, it's not Nico. So had I seen this tour, it would have been probably at number 8 for me anyway. And then the other thing with it is, while there's some amazing songs on here, like I mentioned earlier in this episode, that I would have loved to have seen, Rhyme, Seventh Son, Phantom in particular, the stuff they're doing with like those big screens and stuff is very, very cool, but it doesn't give you that like old school, antiquated kind of like theatrical performance. I feel like there's something lost in the translation with the screens. And I think I might have made this comparison previously in an episode, months ago when I talked about the tour, when they unveiled the Run for Your Lives tour. But it's almost like you're watching, like, let's say, I'll compare it to this. So you're watching the movie Lord of the Rings, and you see, like in Fellowship of the Ring, all the practical effects, like how the Nazgul look, all like Gandalf's staff and things like that. And the practical effects are like 1980s movies where they actually, like when they made like an effect, it was real. Like it was actually real and it looked real because it was real. Like they created it. As opposed to CGI, where CGI, yeah, it looks really cool, but you can tell it's CGI. There was something about the practical effects that just made it feel real. Made it feel like more realistic. Like like it was a real material thing, because it was. It wasn't created by AI or CGI. It was a real thing. That's kind of what the difference is between, I feel like, these digital screens they're using now for backdrops of songs and stage set versus like the Eye of Horus on the floor with a sarcophagi around the stage, and now they have like these screens that basically change for the songs. I mean, it looks awesome. Don't get me wrong; it looks kick-ass. It's still amazing. It's still a hell of a spectacle. It's still worth every single cent of the price of admission. But it is, in my opinion, not as good as the original stuff that they were doing in the '80s, up to really this most recent tour where they changed that and made it more digital. They did a little bit of the experimentation on the Future Past tour, and then they kind of went full swing with this Run for Your Lives, where now everything is this digital setup. And, well, like I said, while it looks amazing, it's not the same. So for those two reasons, I think if I would have seen Run for Your Lives Tour 2026, it still would have fallen at number 8. And then obviously the big glaring one is I'm not going to see it, so it's going to be number 8 because I never got a chance to witness it. So it's going to be in last place. You know, really it shouldn't even be on the list, but I'm just kind of like goofing here and being like, if it was on the list, this is what it would be. And like I said, this is the first tour that I'll miss since I became a Maiden fan. 18 years strong, I saw them, and this is the first one I'm not going to see. So, man, somebody hand me some Kleenexes or a box of tissues. I'm getting teary out here because this shit's important to me. You know, it's tough. It's tough to talk about it. Number 7. Now, I think I had these switched around a little bit, but number 7 for me now is going to be the Legacy of the Beast 2022. That's when they played the 3 songs from Senjutsu. COVID happened. They couldn't tour with the album, so they kind of just, when they could tour again in 2022, they added some of the Senjutsu stuff because they wanted us to hear the album and cut some stuff out of the set from the original Legacy of the Beast in 2018 and 2019, the original Legacy of the Beast tour. So while this set was awesome, don't get me wrong, it still kicked ass. I love seeing the new Senjutsu songs when I saw this. My dad actually came and saw this tour with me in Washington D.C. with Matt and his wife Rebecca. It just wasn't as good as the 2018 and 2019 Legacy set. You know, that set was absolutely amazing. It's one of the best, you know, metal, rock and metal tour set lists of all time, in my opinion. And the 2022 set was just a step down. It wasn't as good. So for me, it's having seen in 2019 the original set list, like it was like, yeah, that was awesome. It kicked ass. But for me, it sits at number 7 just because the set. And at the same time, this is kind of when Matt and I our friendship started to drift a little bit. This is when our friendship just wasn't the same. He was married now and had a kid, and a couple years later, he had another kid. So like our friendship now is almost, I mean, we don't even talk to each other. It's almost non-existent, which is sad. I mean, I consider him a brother. Like I said, he's a friend of mine for over 30 years, and then all of a sudden, like, it's just we don't talk or communicate anymore. But that's what happens when you grow up. You know, people drift apart, things change, different priorities, not enough time in your day, trying to juggle with family, and his job was never really consistent. He never had consistent hours. He was always working different schedules and different shifts. Didn't have time for quote unquote friends anymore. If you don't even really have time for your family because you're trying to, any extra second that you have is spent with them. So I get it, but at the same time, that's kind of why this is number 7 too, because it was a time where Matt and I couldn't just sit down and talk about Maiden like we could for 10 hours, like I said before. You know, it was very brief. It was almost like at this concert he wasn't even there. I mean, we couldn't even talk. He was spending time with his wife, and I get it, they had just had a kid. So it was very, very new, but it was almost like we didn't stay at the same hotel. He went a different way. My dad and I went a different way. He was in a rush to leave after the show. We were kind of like, okay, and that was it. But that's why that is where it is. Just that emotional part of it, that kind of disconnect between Matt and I, us growing apart, and then kind of like the set was just not being quite as good as the 2018 set. Number 6 for me now. This one has moved up, I believe. The Final Frontier North American Tour. I saw the 2022 Legacy set once. I forgot to mention that. Final Frontier North American Tour. I saw this in 2010. I saw this twice, and this is a really special one for me. And this moved up a little bit slightly for me because this is a show that I got to see with my brother twice. He became a Maiden fan at this point, like ingrained in him. Matt and I, obviously, Matt and I were kind of like the quote unquote leaders of the Maiden, our own Maiden army. We were the ones who were like talking about Maiden all the time to our friends. Like it was him and I who were talking about the stuff and talking about the guitar parts, talking about our favorite albums, and talking about our favorite solos and our favorite lyrics. We were the ones who were always bragging about Maiden. So at this point in time, it was almost like we had our own little cronies and some of our friends, and my brother, who was asking questions, was starting to be like, we were almost like the mentors and the teachers, giving them information about Maiden, and it was really cool. At this time, we had a lot of fun. We had like a really long, extended 3 or 4 day weekend together. It was me, Matt, my brother Matt, and our other friend Matt. My brother Matt Labriola and our other friend Matt Fernari. We stayed at Matt Fernari's place in Slippery Rock and saw these guys on back-to-back shows, once in Pittsburgh and once in Cuyahoga Falls, Ohio, and it was surreal. It was just amazing to see this show. And looking back on it, it's grown on me a lot over the years. The reason it was in such a low position and still kind of like not near the very bottom, but still kind of like towards the end of the list, is because I said this before, this tour was more of a reunion, kind of like greatest hits tour. It was 4 songs from Brave New World, 3 from Dance of Death, 2 from A Matter of Life and Death, and 1 from The Final Frontier. It didn't really focus on the Final Frontier album at that point because we saw the tour in July and the album didn't get released until August of 2010. So there was kind of like a disconnect between the album and everything. I mean, I feel like if we would have seen like the same set that was on in Vivo, maybe I'd appreciate it a little bit more. But another thing I have to take into consideration is my brother loves this record, The Final Frontier, and he loves Alien Eddie, and I think that's why it's moved up on the list for me too. So it's really cool in a way. I got to see that with my dad. Got to see this with my brother twice. Number 5, this has moved up a little bit. Maiden England North American Tour in 2012. I saw this once. This show has moved up significantly. Seventh Son for me has grown on me a lot over the years, in particular the last several. I've always loved the record, but to this day, it's still my least favorite album of the Bruce era 80s stuff. I love it. I think it's really cool, but it's still my least favorite of the Bruce era 80s stuff. I saw this once, like I said. I think what was really cool about this tour was Alice Cooper opened up for Maiden. And this was in Bristow, Virginia. And it was awesome, like to have Alice open. He was an amazing opener. To this day, probably the best opener for Iron Maiden. Like a great pick. They played amazing. I mean, seeing Seventh Son live was absolutely stellar. Some of the other songs from the Seventh Son record were unbelievable. They played Phantom of the Opera. This is the first time and the only time I've ever seen Phantom of the Opera live from Maiden. Again, thought I was going to see it for this year, but I'm going to miss that show. But man, what a damn concert! It was really cool. Had some car trouble on the way to the show. My car overheated because I took it to Firestone and they punctured a hole in the oil pan and all the oil drained out and my car was heating up. But I was like a half an hour away from the venue and I was like, I'm not turning around. Like I'm a half an hour out. We got to see Maiden. I don't care if the car's blown up. Like if I make it there and it blows up, whatever. I got a new car. I got to see Alice Cooper and Maiden, and we did. So this tour is really cool. Some of the history behind some of the stuff, but man, what a damn show! What an amazing show! I mean, in terms of like theatrics, kind of like to talk about just how absolutely kick ass this was. Like so many onstage props and gimmicks and real stuff, real tangible effects. To equate it again to the Run for Your Lives tour, a complete 180. I mean, this was like just straight up, these are the stage props and the effects. And man, to look at this and then look at like what they're doing now for Run for Your Lives or some of the stuff, like I said, it's completely different. This was real life shit. Like there was an actual huge Eddie in the background. Like it was an actual created creature that they made for Seventh Son coming up that, Bruce was standing beside. It was an actual mechanical, like robotic Eddie. It was real. It was actually real. It wasn't, a screen with the Seventh Son Eddie on. It was a real Eddie. And that's what makes, these shows, like I said, so absolutely amazing. And the Maiden England tour that I saw in 2012, which is based off of, the same tour in 1988, it was absolutely amazing. The stage set looked like ice, just like the album cover, and it was real. It was actually backdrops and real tangible shit to make it look that way. It wasn't digital. It was actually real stuff. So this is why this has moved up again for me on the list. I mean, in terms of props and just theatrical stuff and the stage set and the design and everything, it's one of the best damn looking stage sets they've ever done. It is phenomenal. This one actually, I think, moved down a little bit. I think I initially had this at 3, if I'm not mistaken. The Book of Souls Tour 2017. I saw this once. Same venue that I saw the Maiden England North American Tour in 2012, Bristow, Virginia. Amazing show. This one, this one was hard to move down a slot, but I'll tell you why it kind of moved down. I've said this before about this. I hadn't seen Maiden since the Maiden England Tour in 2012, so it was a 5-year gap. They toured Maiden England in 2012, 2013, and 2014 and didn't come around to the States. So they were touring the rest of the world, so we didn't get to see them. 2015, they did Book of Souls. Bruce had his cancer stuff. They came in 2016, but Matt and I couldn't logistically find a way that was close for us to go see them. And then luckily they came back in 2017 with an even better set, I think, which is what the Book of Souls live chapter is based off of. And we got to see them. So this holds a special place in my heart because it was the first concert I saw of Iron Maiden since they toured the States in 5 years. And all the stuff about, I talked about, this is kind of like came after I saw this, but Matt and I just talking about the album again, and Empire of the Clouds, and the Red and the Black, and the Book of Souls, and the title track, and If Eternity Should Fail, and how amazing it was, and how Bruce beat cancer, and how the stage set looked amazing. Again, another super theatrical, super prop heavy, super magnificent stage set for this. I mean, it was Mayan civilization. Mayan civilization, ancient Mayan civilization. The stage set was designed like that. They had the totems and the ziggurat structures and Mayan Eddie and Bruce, ripping the heart out, and Eddie with the axe, and it was unbelievable. Another absolutely otherworldly spectacle. Nico's drum set and his drum kit and the Mayan calendar and the lighting rig coming down. I mean, just phenomenal. And this is the first concert I saw, and I think the first time in the modern era anyway, that they closed with the song Wasted Years. And for me, that was absolutely amazing. And just to see the camaraderie. And then we got an awesome, Book of Souls live chapter released to us on YouTube and on their webpage and stuff for us to watch whenever we want, which is amazing. So having that was really cool too. Getting a live album with this, getting a live video performance of this, and holding a special place in my heart too of this record. Matt and I's friendship was really strong here. Like we came back together after a little bit of a hiatus to talk, and we started talking again and playing guitar and stuff together again, and it was great. So this is a really happy time. This is a really happy time for Maiden for us. Saw this once. This one moved up. This one used to be number 4. Now it's number 3. This is a Future Past tour. Saw this one in 2024 once at PPG Paints Arena in Pittsburgh, PA. And again, to echo some previous episodes, Somewhere in Time is my most relatable album. Adrian's my favorite guitar player in the band. This album came out in September, 12 days after my birthday. It's universally connected to me in more ways than I can even describe to you. Blade Runner is my favorite science fiction movie. Alexander the Great is my favorite historical figure. The Cyborg Eddie is my favorite Eddie, my favorite version of Eddie. The The ideas, the motifs, Adrian's guitar work on here, the whole 80s guitar synth and keyboard vibe to this is outstanding. Some of the most emotional writing the band has ever done to this day is in this record. And this, and I've said this in the actual episode where we talk about Somewhere in Time in particular, this is the record where the band becomes a progressive metal band. It's this record. Where they had subtle nuances of it in the records leading up to this. I mean, look at Phantom of the Opera. That's a prog song, man. That's prog. Yeah, it's technically metal, but that's a prog rock inspired prog metal song. Killers was a lot of short rockers, not too many. You hit Number of the Beast, you get How Would Be That Name. You hit Peace of Mind, you get Tame the Land, and a lot of proggy elements on Peace of Mind too. Power Slave, they're getting even a little more progressive, i.e. Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner. I mean, almost a 14-minute song. That's metal. That's like prog rock, man, right? King Crimson shit. Jethro Tull, like concept album shit, right? Like that's what they're doing. They're mixing these influences. Then by the time you get to Somewhere in Time, you're getting these longer songs. This album, I believe, is the longest album of the 80s. Why? Because the songs are longer. They're more progressive. They're more progressive. And then Seven Son tries to do that too. And where I feel like Seven Son, yeah, everybody kind of looks at that because it's technically labeled a concept album. I think that Somewhere in Time is a better album. I think it's more reflective of the prog elements that the band would later develop in the reunion to the present. So this tour too, Nico. Last time I got to see Nico, I never thought he'd step away. I was like, yes, Nico's back, baby. And then it was literally like, I can't remember how long it was, a week or two after I saw the tour, he was like, yeah, I'm hanging it up. No more live performances. I'm like, what the hell? My mind was blown. My mind was blown when that happened. That's another reason why this is up here. And like I said, my most relatable album, never thought I'd ever see these songs played live, ever. Got to see pretty much my favorite songs from the record. Caught Somewhere in Time, Wasted Years, Heaven Can Wait, Stranger in a Strange Land, and Alexander the Great, man. Damn, how amazing was that? How amazing was that? And I loved every second of it. I loved every second of it. I wish I could have seen this one more than once, but I am so thankful I got the opportunity to see it even once. That's why this is here for me. And just getting to see Nico play live one more time and getting to see some of my favorite Iron Maiden songs ever from this record. Getting to see Adrian do the Stranger in a Strange Land solo. Getting to see Dave and H play the Alexander the Great parts live for the first time, man, I can't tell you how absolutely, like, otherworldly that shit was. And I love the Senjutsu stuff too, don't get me wrong, but seeing the stuff that I never, ever thought I'd ever see live, man, somewhere in time. You listen to like the documentary, like the Live After Death stuff, and they're talking about it, and they're talking about it on the Maiden England documentary on that DVD and those releases. They're like, we have bits and pieces of the Somewhere in Time and the Somewhere on Tour stuff, but we never did like a full concert tour of it, never. And then you actually see it, and what's crazy about it is, it might have actually been better than Somewhere on Tour because they played Alexander the Great for the first time. That's the first tour they ever played it. I mean, that's some historical shit. They never played Alexander the Great on the Somewhere on Tour originally in 1986 or 87 when they were touring with this record, but they played it on Future Past. How kick-ass is that? I mean, they are making history. They made history with that tour. And to be a part of that and have that experience, man, I cannot understate the emotional component that comes with that album in general. It being Nico's last tour, and the fact that it's my most relatable album. And that's why it's where it's at for me. It has to be there. Initially, like I said, looking back on it, hindsight a year later, it moved up. It was originally number 4, and I think Book of Souls was number 3, but they switched places. That's where it's going to be. Probably forever. Until I can see Maiden again. But I don't think it'll ever be the same. I think this list is pretty much going to kind of stay the same moving forward now, just because Nico's not playing live anymore. I think every tour will just kind of come after the Legacy of the Beast 2022, because that was that's just in my rankings anyway, because it's just not going to have Nico. But anyway, I digress. Moving on to number 2. These two stayed exactly the same as they were the last time I did this list. Legacy of the Beast 2019, I saw this show twice. Another monumental thing for me. This is the first time, one of my childhood friends, Jeremy Kramer, got to see Iron Maiden. And I said this before. Matt and I went and saw a show in Bristow, Virginia again, the venue. Jiffy Lube Live. Same place we saw the Book of Souls tour and the Made in England tour. Matt and I saw it together, and it was amazing. We talked about it. This was one of the last experiences where Matt and I actually sat in the car and talked about Maiden for hours on the way home. And that's another reason why it's so precious to me. It was about a 3.5, 4-hour drive back, and Maiden. Parked in front of his house, talked about Maiden again for another hour. This is one of the last times I actually had that experience with him, when we came back from Bristow, Virginia, and had that conversation. So that's why it's so powerful to me. That, the fact that my other childhood friend Jeremy finally got to see Iron Maiden, and literally the next day went out and bought a Yamaha Pacifica guitar, because he was like, literally, that was the best concert I've ever seen. My dad said pretty much the same thing. He was like, that was one of the best concerts I've ever seen. Probably the best theatrical concert I've ever seen. My brother said the same thing when he first saw Maiden, and he saw some of the shows we're going to talk about. That was the best thing I've ever seen. And this set list, one of the best sets in their entire career, as far as I'm concerned. It had a mixture of amazing 80s stuff, a mixture of some of the new stuff. Sign of the Cross on this was absolutely mind-blowing Rock and Rio vibes. The Klansman, mind-blowing. Never thought I'd ever see those songs ever played live. Got to see Wicker Man. Got to see a bunch of stuff I never thought I'd ever see. For the Greater Good of God. They played 4 songs from Peace of Mind, so it was kind of like an homage to Peace of Mind. They played Where Eagles Dare. They played Revelations. They played Flight of Icarus. Bruce is coming out with the flamethrowers on his wrist. Absolutely amazing. And the Trooper. And I mean, the set, again, I can't explain just how much went into it. Like the theatrics, the different realms, and the switching. Nico's drum set, beautiful stained glass looking drum set with, stained glass versions of Eddie's. One of his coolest kits ever, if not the coolest. Black hardware and smoke chrome cymbals and, cymbal stands and hardware on his drum set. This set was ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. The Future Past Tour set was cool with the antiquated stuff, making it look aged. The Book of Souls stuff with the gold was great. But this one, damn, what a stellar drum set. It could possibly be, to this day, probably, it could be the best. It could potentially be the absolute best looking one. In terms of like an homage and a history and like kind of like a tying the Eddies together over the years, it could possibly be his best set ever, as far as I'm concerned. And PPG Paints Arena for the second one, Jeremy got to see, and Bristow, Virginia for the first one. So, amazing. And this was I think both of these shows we went to see, I know the Pittsburgh one was sold out, and I'm pretty sure the Bristow one might have been too. We were in the pit in Bristow, and for the PPG one, we were like really close on Davy's side of the stage, to the left-hand side. So it was really, really cool. And man, just what a phenomenal set list. Rock and Rio mixed with Peace of Mind, mixed with, I don't even know what to say, like just like the greatest hits tour. It was like the greatest hits tour at that point. It's like, I know the 50-year anniversary wasn't until 2025, like last year, but this set was almost like a 50th. This should have been like the 50th anniversary set. It was that damn good. Nothing against the Run for Your Lives set list, but I just feel like this one is cream of the crop, 50-year commemoration, like it deserves it. And then number one, never changing from the prime spot. First time I saw Iron Maiden, Ram the Ancient Mariner was recorded at East Rutherford, New Jersey on this date and put on the Flight 666 DVD and live record. I was there. March 14th, 2008. Summer Back in Time World Tour. Saw this in East Rutherford, New Jersey, my first time seeing Iron Maiden in 2008, and then we saw it in Cuyahoga Falls, Ohio, the second time around, and my brother's first time seeing Maiden. I bought him a ticket for his graduation of high school gift and for his birthday. And his jaw hit the floor when they came out and started singing Run to the Hills, and Bruce like literally walked out on a platform right in front of us and screamed in our faces. That was my brother's like initiation ceremony. Like he was like, holy shit. And to this day, when like, what's the favorite moment that you saw Maiden? He says that when they walked out on Somewhere Back in Time, when we were in Cuyahoga Falls, Ohio, and Bruce walked out on the platform and screamed at the end of Run to the Hills right in my face. Amazing. This set list, too, in my opinion, obviously not from a modern day standpoint or a union to the present stuff, but for just a set list that really encapsulates the strength of, in my opinion, the strongest 80s records. This is the set where the Legacy of the Beast set is a really nice compilation of, I think, everything, minus Senjutsu up to their career at that point, and Book of Souls, because they were heavily themed albums, but really, everything else in Final Frontier up to that point. This is the epitome of an 80s set list that they could possibly have. There's nothing I would change on this. And Legacy of the Beast was like the epitome of like the best stuff that they hadn't played on Somewhere Back in Time and the reunion. And Somewhere Back in Time is the epitome of the 80s. It is the best set list in music history as far as I'm concerned. In Maiden's catalog, it is primo. They're playing Rhyme the Ancient Mariner on this. They're playing stuff from the Trooper. The stage set is basically Live After Death again. It's 1985 in Long Beach Arena, California. It's Bruce at his apex. It's from beginning to end, every song choice, every selection, where the songs are located in the set and how they structured it. It is absolutely perfect. There is no misstep in this set list. Even when they come out with the encore for Moonchild, a perfect placement with Dave just playing, the beginning and his solo and the tapping, and to see this and to have witnessed this twice and just, what a euphoric moment. For the rest of my life, this is going to be like the concert that I always refer to. If I ever remember any concert, outside of anything, and I remember every Maiden show, but if I forget every single other Maiden show, which I won't, but if I were to, I would never forget the Summer Back in Time shows, and in particular, the first one I ever saw in East Rutherford, New Jersey. I mean, that thing was a gem. There's things, and to kind of like encapsulate what I talked about at the beginning of this podcast, there's things in your life when you look back on them, and it's hard for me to believe I saw this in 2008. That was almost 20 years ago. It was 18 years ago. That actually was 18 years ago, like 4 days ago. 4 days ago, it was 18 years ago that I saw this concert. And it's one of those things in your life, it's almost like seeing one of the seventh wonders of the world. It's like you're talking to your buddies, or you're talking to your kids or your grandkids, and you're like, dudes, you have no idea what it was like to see Iron Maiden in East Rutherford, New Jersey on March 14th, 2008, when they played Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner for the first time since the World Slavery Tour. Like that, it's a monumental, life-changing, another historical concert that just goes down in history as something that is unfathomable. And to experience it, you don't know what it's like until you're there, until you've like touched it, until you've actually like bumped uglies with it, right, and actually have some kind of spiritual and soulful experience with it. transcendence. Like Matt said, it's like a pilgrimage to us when we go see Maiden. He's right. It still is, even to this day. If I were to go see him again, it's always how it's going to be. And this one in particular for us, Matt said that, Bruce was like, we're going to be building pyramids. Early Days DVD came out. Live After Death DVD came out. This tour came out. Astounding. This was the concert tour that changed my life. This was the concert tour that made me a metalhead. That made me an audiophile. Made me want to dive into, said this before on the podcast, the rivers, the lakes, the oceans of other bands' discographies. This tour made me want to know everything about Iron Maiden. What's Bruce like? What's Steve like? What are all the guys in the bands like? Why did they write this? I want to sit down and learn how to play Revelations. I want to learn how to play Rime the Ancient Mariner. I want to learn how to play the solo to Power Slave. I want to learn how to play the intro picking and alternate picking that Adrian does to Wasted Years. Like, this set list, every song is just one of those things, like, it's a guitar player's dream. Like, these are the songs that every guitar player should know from Iron Maiden, and it's basically the Somewhere in Time, or Somewhere Back in Time set list. I mean, it's what it is. It's the classic 1980s Iron Maiden set list. And it's still, to this day, perfect. The greatest set list in music history as far as I'm concerned. Anyway, I'm getting to the end of the rope here, no pun intended. I just wanted to jump on here and kind of talk about, unfortunately, I'm not going to be seeing them. The first time I'm going to miss Run For Your Lives 2026. The Burning Ambition documentary looks absolutely amazing. The new ranking of my Maiden concert experiences. And, a little bit of the skepticism and the fears that I have about the band. I never thought, Ozzy just died in 2025. Dio died unexpectedly. Like, these guys are huge influences for me, too. Like, I never thought I would ever not see them perform. And I've said this before, like, in 2009, Matt and I were gearing up to go see Dio. Like, they were going to be touring, and then it was like a couple months later, they're like, yeah, Dio passed away. It's like, what? Never did we expect that. And luckily, these guys are still pretty healthy, but they've had health issues too and complications. Bruce had cancer, and Nico had a stroke. I mean, they're mortal, and they're getting old. Fingers crossed, toes crossed, good vibes, good luck. These guys stay in tip-top shape and in good health. And, I'll say this. There is the greedy Maiden fan in me, and probably all of us, who really, really want another album. But, with that being said, if the guys were to hang it up after this tour and say, we are done, man, what a fucking legacy and a career. The greatest band in the world. And again, I am fortunate that if I never see them again, that I got to see all the shows that I just mentioned and all the shows that I did. And for me, just perfect bookends if this is the end and I'll never see them again. Perfect bookends of a concert. That the first tour that I saw was Somewhere Back in Time, based on the Power Slave record. And the last tour that I saw was a Future Past tour, based on Senjutsu, yes, but also Somewhere in Time. That record. My two most relatable albums. Damn. It's hard to beat that. It's hard to ask for more as a fan. But like I said, the greedy part is like, give us another album. But as far as tours go, man, couldn't be better. What do you guys think? You think they're going to hang it up here after 2026? You think they're going to take a break in 2027 and maybe announce, a new album? Do you think they're going to tour? Do you think they're done? Do you think Senjutsu's the last one? I've been reading some comments and some forums lately, like the last month or so, that are saying, like, maybe Senjutsu is the last one. And that's kind of the reason why this fear is creeping up for me, too. But what do you guys think? Anyway, thank you for listening to A Matter of Life and Maiden, the podcast of the Beast. I am Joe Labriola. Remember, Maiden is life, the rest is history. Long live Eddie and the boys, and up the irons. Everybody take care of yourselves, and we'll see you next time.